What's up, folks? Welcome into a special edition of Wake Up Warchant. It's also in video version. It's been stripped down to also go at the end of the podcast with myself and Corey. Michael Langston here with me to break down recruiting. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm fantastic.
Man,
I'm as fantastic as you can be in being out there for 12 hours. So yeah, I'm fantastic.
who's keeping track, right? 12 hours?
Yeah, I mean it's just hours. I mean, so who cares? It's just time. It's just a clock.
All right, let's get to it. I guess the most important thing, man, quarterback. We obviously know Tate Rodemaker, sorry. He committed, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Where else does Florida State stand with my boy Chavo Purdy?
Yeah, Chavo Purdy visited this weekend. We were not able to get up with him. He declined an interview, which I kind of expected, so that wasn't really a surprise. The vibe I get is that FSU feels they nailed everything that they wanted to on this weekend. Academic presentation was elite as far as what I've been told. The family was really extremely impressed. John Thrasher was actually involved in that, the president, John Thrasher, and it was very video detailed as far as whatever his major is. I heard it was very profiled very well as far as explained, and he really just in as far as going to coaches, he really connected in a big way with Coach Norvell and Coach Dillingham. I think he feels very comfortable with them. Obviously, a lot of this is all last minute, so when you're doing this stuff, you got to put that in consideration when it comes to a decision when he decides either to stick with Louisville or go to FSU. And the feeling I get is that FSU feels positive about how it went. They don't have a definitive answer that they're getting them, but I think they feel like they got a little bit of momentum. But still, he's going to go home, obviously think about it, and then maybe Monday or Tuesday or something like that, he'll make a decision on what he's going to do. But I think it could go either way, to be honest, Aslan. I think it could go either way. But I think FSU, the fact that FSU was able to bring this kid in basically 1 week is flat amazing. And a kid that it's very rare that kids come in that are committed to schools right before they sign. That's a very rare thing to happen. So I think it was a big deal that Norvell, whether he pulls this off or not, I think it shows you his recruiting prowess that he's a very strong recruiter, and he's shown that already.
I did some research, Michael. Chubba Purdy, rather. Sorry, bud. He actually has a sister who goes to Florida Southern. So let's bring the family together, y'all. Let's bring the family together. Get out of Arizona, come to Florida. Skill position-wise, Brian Robinson, probably the biggest fish I would think still out there for Florida State. He made it on campus. What were your thoughts on him making it there, what that means for Florida State, and any sort of feedback you might have heard from Brian?
Yeah, Brian was another that they kind of sneaked away. But I felt like the biggest news going into this visit weekend to me was Ron Dugans being retained. I think that was a big deal because it was a big deal you had three receivers basically on campus. You had Brian Robinson, J.K. Harris, and you also had, or not J.K. Douglas,
Yeah.
Jackley Douglas. And then you also had Malachi Weidman on campus. So I think that was a big deal, probably more so with any of the guys. I think it was important to all of them, but I think it was the most important to Brian because Brian has the longest relationship. That's why he committed to Miami originally. Was Dugans. So I think getting him on board, that really checked off a major box for them. And I think really the only thing left was for, Brian to get comfortable with the new offensive coordinator. I've heard they really, clicked it off as far as very well connected, and he likes what this offense is going to do. And I think come Wednesday, barring something surprising and some shift, I think he's going to be a Seminole.
What about my boy Jay Griffith? What's up, my boy Griff, man? Staying going. What's going on?
Yeah, we did an interview with him tonight. It's on Warchant. He talked about how he was very shocked just on how much he really liked this coaching staff, how shocked he was with Coach Norvell, how shocked he was with Coach Adam Fuller, the DC. I think he was very impressed with him, but it was a more specific plan, and we heard this a lot from the recruits. It feels a lot different than what it was with the previous staff. It just feels a lot different where these guys are much more detailed organizations, much more detailed, and then also there's a better flow. Even for all the media out there, we all saw it was just a better flow of kids coming in and out, and when they go in, you had some come out. So it was kind of easy to get up with them and leave, and so. But I think overall, Josh Griffiths, he's going to decide between Louisville and FSU. And while Josh said all these things to make it, build up, I think, drama with, whether he sticks Louisville or goes to FSU, I think in the end, I think because they got Odell, that's the one thing I go back to with Josh. Josh said, if Odell stays, I'm going there. So I think you add all that up and you add up the visit. I think FSU is going to win out, and I think Josh Griffiths, for the fourth commitment that he's made, is going to be the final one, and I think he will sign with FSU on Wednesday.
Overall, Michael, how do you think the kids that were committed to Florida State, were committed to Willie Taggart, more or less? I mean, how do you think they came away from the weekend?
I think they were all blown away. I think they were all, I think you could even say in some senses they were all shocked of how much they loved it, because the preparation for these guys was so good. Like J.M. McCluster was telling me that Adam Fuller knew every details about how he was used in how McCluster was used in high school, his strengths, his weaknesses. He knew things that he could make better with J.on. And also just knew a lot about his recruitment and a lot of things that were important to him. And so it shows you the detail that these guys lock in on, as far as this coaching staff. And I think I honestly, I didn't share this with anybody. I was actually a little bit concerned of, okay, what are these linebackers going to do if Raymond Woody leaves? What are they going to do? Because it didn't look like they're going to retain him anyway. And it still does. I don't think they probably will, but I don't think they will. But the point was, at the end of the visit, by the time I talked to Stephen Dix and I talked to J.M. McCluster, that was not a concern to them. I think Adam Fuller hit such a home run that they see how awesome a defensive coordinator is, just the schemes he knows, the situation he knows, the things he helped them with as far as technique, even on just the visit and talking. I think that sold them completely. I think they were all sold after that, and I think, and then at the end they just basically said it doesn't matter who the linebacker coach is. It's kind of basically, if they can hire somebody this good as Coach Fuller, we know they're going to hire somebody good at linebackers coach. So I'm not really worried about it. That's kind of the gist of what the recruits said. And that's no slight to Woody. It just shows you the recruiting ability that Fuller has, and also that kids are already pitching in and selling or buying what he's selling of what he can do as a coach, and how he can get them to the next level. And I think a lot of these kids like this defense because, for people that haven't watched Memphis, it is an extremely aggressive defense. A lot of blitzes, a lot of press man coverage. Defensive line really gets after it. They really get after the quarterback. You watch all their defenses. His defenses really get after the quarterback. So I think that was a very big attraction to a lot of these kids when they got there. And I think I have not encountered one kid that was not with extreme high impressions of this staff of Dillingham, Fuller, and Norvell. And I think it all goes back to Norvell, and he's really trying to set a culture of, I want you to earn everything, and nothing's going to be giving here. If you want to get where you want to go, I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to ride you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to stay on you all the time. I'm going to love on you, but I'm also going to push you hard. So I'm going to get you prepared for the next level or wherever you go in your life. But in college, you're going to be prepared. They're going to be developed, and I think that's kind of the takeaway I had from the staff with the recruits.
Well, that's really good stuff, obviously, Michael. But, sometimes there's not enough seats on the train, if you will. I guess one of the casualties of that was the offensive lineman out of IMG, Alex Cabbage. Right. Sounds like that was kind of, I don't know, mutual is the right way to put it, but sort of maybe not enough space right now. But that might portend to good news for Florida State if it does come at the cost of a scholarship for Alex, right?
It definitely wasn't mutual. Yeah. I can tell you that. Alex was ready to sign. Alex was having a great time. And then Alex told us right before he's going in, I just got to go meet with Coach Norvell, and I'll come see you guys in a minute. And he was pumped. He was ready. My feeling of the situation is FSU got some news today that, maybe they got a commitment from a position of need that's bigger than the offensive guard, because they look pretty good at the guard position interior. I think they're okay there. But I think they got some news today, in my opinion, that at bigger positions, like they're going to need to sign a lot of running backs. They're going to need to sign a lot of offensive tackles. Certainly they need some defensive ends, and, they certainly need, one more receiver if they can. So I think there's positions. So I think probably, I don't have any information to back that up, but usually when this happens, that's what happens when you have a bigger need at another position. Sometimes you have to wait and see. And basically what they're telling Alex is, look, if you have to sign, we understand. If you have to sign early, we understand. But at the same time, we have to see where our numbers are going to match up. And I don't think they were counting on whatever happened when they crunched the numbers, or whatever news they got today. So I think they had to readdress the plan, and they were straightforward with him. And it's not that they didn't like him, because they wouldn't have wasted his time if they didn't like him. They wouldn't have went to see an M home. They wouldn't have had him on official visit. So I think something newsworthy happened with the coaching staff today.
All right, last thing for you, Michael, before we let you go. Obviously, the early signing period begins on Wednesday, but then the traditional, conventional one lies in wait in February. Are there certain targets possibly that were on campus this weekend that Florida State is feeling good about, that folks might have to be a little bit patient on? They might come around, but it's probably not going to be this Wednesday. It'll have to be down the line, possibly in February.
Well, I think all the kids they had today are all early signings. Obviously, I have one commitment, Jadarius McKnight. He wants to wait and sign with his teammate, but he's going to FSU. There's nothing to be concerned about. He just wants to sign with his teammate in February. So he's been a diehard Seminole for a while. So I think that's all that is. But the rest of them, I fully expect them to sign on the dotted line on Wednesday. I think just about everybody is going to sign. That's going to be good news for FSU. Now, if you can pull a Morven Joseph, who I think now could go either way with FSU and Tennessee, I lean a little bit, based on the intel of the visit, a little more towards FSU right now. So that's been interesting. But still, we have to wait and see. I have to monitor this stuff when the visit settles down, see if the information's still the same. You had Kendall Dennis that also visited, defensive back. I think he's going to sign early. I didn't get the warm and fuzzies on that one. I just still thought he was going to be Oklahoma. That's been my pick and my forecast for a while. Maybe he's a great poker player. If he is, he's good, because he's got me fooled. But if he isn't, I just think it'll be Oklahoma. But I think all these guys are going to sign. I think Josh Griffiths obviously is going to sign on Wednesday. So I think what we're going to have in the later signing period, Aslan, is you're going to have a lot of new targets. I'm going to do a 12 to watch probably after signing day, after this early signing day. Probably work on that. I've got to figure out who these guys are, because right now it's tough going to figure out, the targets. I know everyone wants to know, Michael, who's the offensive tackle targets, and who's this, and who's the running back targets, and guys, that's what I got to figure out. I've got a new staff, but it takes time. I gotta do digging and get the right people. But there's going to be new targets, Aslan. We mentioned that quarterback. Say they didn't get Purdy, I think Robbie Ashford will be a guy that they're probably going to offer right away. We talked about him the last time we spoke from Hoover, Alabama. He's a guy that I think they like, and I think there'll be more targets at quarterback. Because the one thing I can say about this staff is they back up everything. If they're going after a guy, they always have a backup plan of somebody else. If they're going, no matter what the position is. So I'm expecting when I do this list, and I'm going to have, it's going to be 12, but I think I'm going to have, probably 20.
Yeah, give them more. Give them more, Michael.
Comes to that. So I just got to figure out who they are and who the major targets are, because I think some of them are going to be JUCO. I think some of them are going to be high school kids. So we just got to figured it out. And I know people are going to ask, they'll be mad at me if I didn't mention this. Yes, they are going to look heavily in the transfer portal market. That's going to be a place they probably live in because they know they have to. They know, here's the bottom line, they know they have to flip this offensive line. They have to get 5 new guys or 4 new guys. They have to do something to flip what's going on and what they have on the roster currently, because it's not gonna give them a chance to succeed. Say you get 2 grad transfers on the offensive tackle, one on the left, one on the right. That would really benefit your situation as far as going forward. They need somebody who can help them right now. So whether that's a JUCO or grad transfer guy, I think that's what they're going to focus heavily on in this later signing period. So I think they'll live in that transfer portal. Certainly they're going to spend a lot of time, on stuff like that. The running backs, I could see them signing a JUCO guy there as well. They know they need 3 or 4 because the bottom line is you have Kalen Laybourne, and who knows if he can stay out of trouble and not do something stupid. I mean, he's already been suspended, so we don't even know if he's going to play in the bowl game. So you can't count on guys that do stuff like that. So you have to pretend like, even though he will be there next year, I think he'll have a chance to contribute. But you have to plan like he's not there. So they need like 3 or 4 backs in this class. I think if they get 3, they're good. But you get 4, I think that puts you at a good position. But say you sign Toafili, okay, that's 1, and you basically you're going at the least get 2 more, and that'll get you in a good position. So I think they see that there's a lot of holes, and they're going to use whatever avenue of work to make that happen. If they got to go transfer portal, they'll do it. And I think we've seen that dedication and aggressiveness of this staff just in this 1 week with all the guys they got on campus. I mean, 1 week and they got all these guys on campus. So it tells you a lot about how aggressive the staff's going to be. And they still really only have 3 new coaches. So imagine what they do when they get a full staff of these guys. So I think that's what I think is the plan.
Look at that. There's so much more to know about, and it's all over on warchant.com on the premium recruiting board. This is taped, so get over there right now for the latest and greatest from Michael Langston over on the premium recruiting board. Use the promo code SAVE50FSU to get 50% off an annual membership if you're a new and first-time subscriber. Michael, as always, man, I appreciate your time, buddy. It's a wrap. We'll talk to you later.
You got it.